Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I'm not sure.
Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes. How are you doing?
Good. How you doing, Cindy?
Good.
Good to see you. See, we have Pedro on the line. Morning.
Yeah, I'm here.
Morning, Pedro. How you doing? Do you hear me fine? You see everything okay?
Yeah, all good. Everything okay there?
Good. Just make sure that my presentation is working fine here. Let me just do some simple housekeeping here. Hold on for a second. Okay. Does everybody see my screen as well?
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna get started here in just a second. Just getting into a few things, housekeeping here on my presentation. And share my screen here. Okay. So good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining our presentation live webinar on the Shingo model. And we want to make this an interactive conversation. I don't want to bore anybody and give a presentation that's PowerPoint to death. So it's an interactive conversation about the Shingo model and the benefits of it and the differences between the Shingo model and some of the other tools that are out there and in the industry which many companies use today. And my presentation here is lacking to change. Hold on for a second. I don't know what I'm going to do. Hold on. Okay, let me just reset my screen here one more time. Hello, who just joined? Great, Fernando. ¿Cómo está, Fernando?
Hola Carlos, muy bien. ¿Y tú qué tal?
Muy bien, muy bien. Estamos por
Gracias, gracias por invitar.
Gracias por asistir. Estamos para comenzar. Tengo una situación con mi pantalla aquí un segundito. And this up in a minute here. Had it working. There we go. I don't know why it's not working now. Technology, of course. Go. Everybody see my screen now? Yes? Okay, good.
Yes.
For some reason, when I'm in my presentation mode, it's freezing up on me. So I might have to do it this way, which is the horrible way. And I don't know why it's doing that. I'm gonna try one more time to do the presentation mode that doesn't freeze. Hold on for a minute here. Yeah, that's probably it. Enough on it. That's probably just a few things I have on here. No problem. We'll just play it as is. Simple as that. It's not showing up in my. So, anyway, let's get started with the presentation here. We'll do it just the old-fashioned way. Looks like my screen freezes up on presentation mode, but that's not a problem. We're here to learn about something else that's much more important, that's much more interesting, and it has to do with the Shingo model. And although the Shingo model has been around for a very long time, very few people know about it. And that's what we're trying to create some awareness and some consciousness of what the Shingo model is all about. It is well known in manufacturing and it's well known globally in many different countries, especially Ireland, uh, the UK, Brazil, the United States, Australia, and Mexico. It's another big country that uses the Shingo model heavily as well. But in many other industries, like in healthcare, um, education, and government, still the Shingle model has not really gotten any type of awareness of what it's all about. So we're going to talk about the Shingle model, but before we do that, I'll just talk about a little bit about myself and our company, Guiding Principles. And our logo is leading cultural behavior revolution through revolution, behavior evolution through revolution. And what is that? We're a nonprofit organization. We're dedicated to working a lot with the Latino community, and especially after the COVID crisis has hurt the world economy. What we're trying to do is work with minorities and helping get their businesses back up and running. And we're currently working on a project that's in Colombia, a humanitarian effort project to help control the corona outbreak in a small town. Well, it's really a small city in the center, the heart of Colombia, where the average weather heat wave is about 90, 95 degrees all year round. It's a petro city, and the COVID-19 has heavily impacted that city and is still impacting it today. And one thing that we like to let everyone know is that for us, this is the year of the Phoenix. That's what the sign of the logo of our company. It's evolution through revolution, and we'll talk about that later on in our presentation. Some of the initiatives that we're working on, like I mentioned before, was building much more coalition in the Latin community, also identifying uh, healthcare sites that we can conduct some on-site Shingo workshops. Now, there are hybrid workshops that are going on. We're conducting a hybrid workshop, which is virtually. Many students will be logging in through Zoom, and others will be on site. I will be on site in Colombia, presenting the Shingo Discover Excellence workshop, and other students will be virtually. We will have some local students from Colombia that will be on site as well. So it's going to be a very interesting discussion and training because first of all, it's the first one in Colombia. It's the first one that's being done in healthcare during the COVID crisis. And also we're going to get some on the ground experiences from not only the patients, but also from doctors and nurses and people on the floor who work at the hospital and see the impact not only that COVID has, but the initiative that we started there a couple of months ago. People are already starting to see some of the differences, starting to see some of the improvements. One of them is the daily gembas that we're doing, that we're working on at the hospital. So a few things that we're working on, we have podcasts, we write articles, we're involved in different types of other organizations that to spread this consciousness of Shingo, but we're heavily integrated into the Latino community. And just about a couple of weeks ago, we had a live broadcast from the Latino Leaders Magazine, where we had special guest Dr. Cindy Young and Dr. Bob Emiliani. So enough about me and enough about the company. This is just a brief overview of what we're doing. Let's get into what Shingo is all about. And Shingo, of course, is located, it's home at the Shingo Institute in the state of Utah and Utah University. And the purpose of the Shingo Institute is based on this timeless shape of culture and driving organization and operational excellence. You know, timeless meaning that there is no end to this, right? There's always a continuous improvement part of it. This is also like an infinity a process, right? We're always looking to get better. And that's what Shingo is all about. And it's not just about implementing some kind of tool or following some kind of methodology. It's really about identifying the cultures and behaviors that are driving some of these improvements and situations within the organization. So, what's the mission? The mission is to improve the process of process improvement. You know, conduct cutting edge research, providing education through the certification process that we have at the Shingle Institute, providing much more in-depth organizational assessments where we're on the ground providing Gemba walk, Gemba assessments, and maturity assessments of existing performance. Some organizations call it performance improvement, organizational process improvement, or continuous improvement organizations within their companies. And we'll sit down with these leaders and we'll identify, you know, just exactly how does your operation work when it comes to operational and organizational excellence. And especially in healthcare, it's a very big challenge where you have two entities working on different types of initiatives. One is the administrative, the other one is the clinical, and the clinical has its own internal process improvement initiative, but it's basically based on federal and regulatory requirements. But on the administrative side, there's no real type of process improvement unless it's geared towards lean or Six Sigma. So let's see why Shingo is so important. And the Shingo Institute and the Shingo Prize was developed, designed based out of, for the reason of Seigo Shingo, who was a Japanese engineer after the Second World War. Got together, of course, working with Ushio Ono from the Toyota production system that designed it, and they worked together in Toyota to refine this process, this excellence process. Now, the Toyota production system focuses a lot on, of course, a lot of the tools, a lot of the process improvement and continuous improvement. What I like about Shingo Shingo's vision is not only taking that, which is very, very important, but also including the human factor side of it, including the human piece of it that is very, very important. Because humans are not machines, right? We can't be tweaked or tighten screws or stuff like that so we can get better. This is really focusing on culture, behaviors, and on the human impact of performance improvement. So the institute was created in 1988 when the first Shingle Prize was done. And you can see the little history that we have here of the Shingle model and the Shingle Prize in manufacturing, the first Shingle conference in Mexico. I'm sure that would have been a very big event. I don't know if Fernando were you able to go to that event in Mexico in 2005? Were you there? Fernando is a member of the.
Hi.
Oh, so Fernando, just to give a little introduction, Fernando is a member of the Shingle Institute as well. He's part of the board member of the Shingle Institute, and he's based out of Mexico. And so he's, I think, the only Latino representation of the Shingle Institute in the board, which is a great pride for all of us. And he's based out of Mexico. And I was just wondering, Fernando, were you at that first conference in 2005? Don't know if you were at Shingo at that time or not.
No, actually, no. I integrated to the Shingo board just about like 4 years ago. And since there, I've been working very, very close to the team, and that's it. But I was not in that time.
Okay, very good, very good. Well, in 2015, we had the other conference, right? The Latin American and European conference of 2015. We should be part of we're at that one. And so Shingo conducts yearly conferences and worldwide. And this year's conference is going to be on October 11th and 12th. And it's going to be virtual for the first time because of the COVID crisis. But it's not going to be less important or less interesting. As a matter of fact, there's a whole lineup of great speakers that are going to be on this conference, and a lot of affiliates like myself that are also going to be out there providing some special talks and special discussions on the side during the breaks. So apart from the conferences, of course, then we have the awards that are done and given out to some of these recipients that have achieved the Shingo operational excellence level. And there are three types of awards, and the awards are like you'll see here. There's a silver prize, there's a bronze prize, and then in the middle you see that trophy. That is the Shingo Prize award who have reached that level. So if you want to classify by levels, I guess the silver is level 1, bronze is level 2, and then the Shingo Prize is the ultimate gold. Now, what is the purpose of all of this? I mean, why do people go out of their way to get this award and to work hard towards it? Well, it's the same reason why people work hard to get the Malcolm Baldrige Award, right? Or to get any type of other recognition award for their organization. Apart from bragging rights, if you want to call it that, it's also recognition of excellence globally. And Shingle is a global organization, so globally recognized as an operational excellence company, and that it prides itself on treating its employees right, on leading with humility, and showing respect towards others, and having a very, very aligned organization. That takes a lot of work and many, many years. So you can see the smiles on these people's faces. They've accomplished something very good, and they're proud of that. The challenge now is not winning the award, is sustaining it and keeping it active and keeping yourselves always improving. Here are list of past recipients that have won the awards. And if you notice that there are all over the world, Ireland is one of the countries that has a lot of Shingo recipients, award winners. And so does Mexico, matter of fact. And there was a question asked once, which is the country that has the most Shingo awarded to them? And it's not on this list, but it is Costa Rica. Costa Rica has the most Shingle awarded awards in globally speaking. But we're all this Shingle is worldwide. It's globally known, and I'm glad that we have Costa Rica winning that award. So, where are we? Where is Shingo? Well, Shingo is here globally, all over. Everything you see in purple, that's where Shingo is at. Okay, and open markets where Shingo is not hasn't has not been awarded yet does not mean that Shingo is not recognized, or people are not working on it or using it, or don't know about it. It's in white. It just means that no one has won the award yet. And we know for a fact that people from the other countries like Denmark and Sweden and the Arab countries as well are active in learning and training in Shingo. They've come to many of the Shingo workshops, and many of the articles and information is also being translated into various languages, Arabic being one of them. Of course, French is there, and Italian is also translated. And if you go to Africa, there's many countries there. Some countries speak Portuguese, French, just because the part of Africa they do speak other languages that were brought down from the years of other types of government. So, and then we have South America. South America, we have Brazil, which is very strong in Shingo as well. North America, all of North America, Canada, Mexico, parts of the Caribbean. And the little two dots you see there, that's where we are at. We're based out of Austin, Texas. This is where our headquarters is at. And the project that we're working on, a humanitarian effort, is in Colombia. Not to say that we are not everywhere else. We are a global company. And our focus, since it's on the Latin community, anywhere where there's a Latin organization that is being driven by executives at part of the Latin community, we're there to provide them assistance. We provide the training and as certified facilitators, training in Spanish, English, and in Portuguese. I should say Portuguese because I cannot say Portuguese having Pedro on the line who's from Portugal. So I cannot say it's in full Portuguese. I would say it's in Portuguese more than anything else. And I know Pedro is going to get a kick of that. So Pedro Monteiro he is the editor and founder of the Lean Mag, and many people know about that magazine. He's done a fantastic job. That magazine is really taking off as well. So I'd like to welcome Pedro to this organization, to this conference.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding me.
Thank you, Pedro. So, why is Shingo so? So, well, we notice that organizations do have initiatives going on that want to improve, right? They're working on getting onto some type of organizational excellence or controls, and some are working on actually being a Shingo recipient, and they'll go on for some time, some years, and they'll start off really good, really heavy, and then something happens. You know, something, maybe they won an award, maybe they won a bronze award or silver award. Maybe there was a change in management. Maybe the ones that were leading the charge of the Shingo prize have moved on. Whatever the situation may have been, what happens is that we notice that it just drops down. The quality drops down, the performance drops down. Everything that has to do with the principles of Shingo pretty much starts to fade away. And the question is why? Why does it fade away? Why do people stop applying all these things that they've learned and put so much hard work and years into doing? Well, let's go to the see. Let's look at the Shingo model itself. Let's take a look at the bottom part of the Shingo model and help us answer some of this question. So the Shingo model, in the bottom half of it, has three main components. We have the systems, we have the tools, we have the results. Then it has a question mark in the middle. What is that question mark? What is it that's it's a key component of the Shingo model? So when we talk about systems, many people think about IT systems like software and hardware, and this is not the case that we're talking about. We're talking about systems that are operational processes, right? Let's just call it that for a simplified version of what a system is, right? So you have your systems that are used during in your daily life and your operations. So let's just call HR hiring process. There's a system for hiring, right? And that process for hiring has its own systems built into it, right? You got the recruiter, then you have the HR, then you have the all the forms you got to fill out, and probably got to get some kind of drug test, and that whole system of hiring makes up the process of HR for that system. Systems are a key components of any organization to function, because every company, no matter how big or how small they are, they have systems in place. The question is, how are those systems tied into the tools? And tools can be various things. They could be lean tools, Six Sigma tools, reporting tools, management tools, any type of tools, software tools, any type of tools that are supporting these systems, right? And those tools at the end of the day, what you're trying to get out of those tools are what? Results. You want to see at the end of the day that what you're doing is effective, it's working, it's providing the results that customers are demanding, that your production floor is demanding, that you're able to produce what you need to produce to be in business in the first place. But still, something's missing. Something's not really working. It's not coordinated. It's you got people that are not too happy, and you got a lot of turnaround, turnovers, as we say. And what's the missing link? Well, the missing link is actually you, the people. The people are the ones that make everything work. The systems don't run on themselves. The tools don't work on themselves, and results don't just come up automatically. You have executives, managers, and team members, and these are the people that are in the middle of the Shingo model that make up the cultures and the behaviors that make these systems and tools come to light. So when you put them all together, you have the executive leadership that are responsible for organizing the different types of groups and departments and systems as well, identifying the key systems that are going to be used. Then you have managers and supervisors and leaders of group and team leaders. And they're the ones that are making sure that the systems are being used appropriately, right? That the results are being done and they're being measured and monitored and effective. And then you have team members who use the system or part of the system. And and these team members work directly with management. So it's an up and down cycle, right? They're working with leaders, they're working with executives, and they're all working together to making sure that the systems and tools and the results all work together. That's how we get to the key question that we have here, then what is a culture? What does culture mean? Now, this is a tricky question. I'll answer why. Because many people say, well, the culture is what it is. You know, you can't change people and you can't change culture. When you go into a company, you have to either accept it, and if you don't like it, then you leave. And that's an attitude that is very predominant here in the United States, right? That you go into a new job and they have a culture that's already there, and maybe they do things a lot differently. Maybe the way they do things is a little uh, maybe even uncomfortable in some cases, but that's the culture that's there. But interesting, Edgar Schein says that leaders are the ones who create and manage the culture. So you know, when you say why is the culture the way it isn't, you know, John Doe that's on the production floor in the warehouse, or Mary Jane that's in the accounting. No, it's leaders, the ones that establish and say, when someone works in our organization, this is the what we're expected of them. So we're the ones who define, build, create, and establish the culture of the organization. So, and this culture is based on values, what the leaders feel is valuable to the organization, their beliefs, and their behaviors. Now, I think this is a sword with a double edge, because first of all, you may have someone that's interviewing for a job, and they have their own culture and their own background, their own values, beliefs, and behaviors, not necessarily aligned with the company's, but equally or even more valuable than what the company has established already. And that person may be disqualified because the leaders that are doing the process say, you don't fit our culture, our organization. And that's a sad thing, because there is a lot of wealth and a lot of benefits of having people with various and diverse and inclusive backgrounds that will enrich the cultures of a company. And there's a process that goes on when it comes into the culture and through the leadership building. And I'll show you this process here. First of all, when people come out of college, you know, you see them with all of these qualities. You know, they're humble, open-minded, willing to learn. They listen. They're innovative. They show respect towards the leaders and their acceptance, and they have trust in the collaborators, the team builders. You know, especially now these Gen X, Y, and Zs that are coming out of college today, they have a much more open mind. And then you have on the right side, let's say, these behaviors and these cultures that are power hungry, disrespectful, no humility, ego, pride, closed mindedness. And when you sit down and you try to observe and you try to identify the attributes of these cultures, you'll notice that it's a sad thing that goes on. I call it the evolution of leadership, because if you come out of college with a lot of great qualities, what happens as the years go by and you're working in an organization, that you come out, you started off with all of these fantastic, great qualities, and then you end up with these other qualities that you see at the end of the year. The manager has a club in his hand. It's like he's now clubbing his people, hitting them over the head to make sure the work gets done the way he wants it. And that's, you know, that's the wrong way to be a leader. So I call that de-evolution. Now, why does that happen? Well, there's a chart that I found online, which is pretty interesting. There's a few things that goes on, and I think that helps explain some of the situation that goes on, the why cultures and behaviors change. And when you look at a typical organization that's deploying excellence, they have this model that is pretty much standard industry wise. So everyone will have a vision and a mission and a purpose. You'll see that in almost any organization you go to. Some will do a strategy map or do a Hoshin planning for 3 to 5 years. So I call that section strategy, right? Planning strategy, you know, trying to, you know, position themselves in the market and see how they're going to move forward. The next three quadrants are very similar to the quadrants that we saw from Shingo, where you have results, tools, and systems. The thing is that how they define as results of the systems is what they use today, for example, like process management, and they'll have KPIs or key performance indicators or scorecards, and they use that as their results area. And then the tools, well, they'll have Six Sigma, they'll use Lean, they'll use 8D problems, they'll use 5 or 6S. They got all these Lean tools working on, so that's why that's in the tools area. And then you have the systems where you have organizational designs, you have coaching skills, facilitation. So you have all these systems that are in place that are supposed to be supportive to create these working high performance teams. And then in the middle, it says that this is an operational excellence model. But when we look at it, it's missing that missing link. What is that missing link that it's missing? And when we talked about before, we noticed that the missing link is people, right? You just can't build a process of deployment without taking into consideration, the impact that this will have on the people if it's deployed wrong, if it's not aligned correctly, and if it's not defined with the appropriate uh, cultures and behaviors that are expected to get the results that you're looking for. So I found this interesting, this chart that Mr. Arthur Kamazi put together. He put the 5 pillars of an evolution organization of transformation. And I like this chart a lot. It's pretty interesting. And I like to ask the people when I give this presentation, where do you see your organization, your culture? How does it look like? And what pillar does it go into? So if you were to scale or to grade your organization's culture, you have to say scale 1 through 5. Where would you be? So 1 being, we're a blame culture. We was finger pointing at everybody. We couldn't get this thing done because of inventory. No, it's because of production. No, it's because of quality. And always finger pointing at someone else. And then you have the level 2, which is the multi-directional, like, who's doing what, who's doing when, no one knows. Things get done when things get lost. I was in an organization once that orders would get lost. I mean, huge orders would get lost. No one knows where they were. Sales didn't know where it were, where it was. Production didn't know where it was. The inventory know that they had to deliver something. They had an order that was ready for delivery, and it didn't exist. So I've seen that kind of culture as well. So this is that industry is still struggling today with that kind of culture. And then you have the 3rd level here, which I find really comical, which is like, just live and let live, and whatever happens, happens. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Who cares, right? And that's not the culture that nobody wants to be with. You're in a culture, you're working in an organization, and perhaps you have your personality is the type of personality that you enjoy producing quality work. You enjoy working with customers. You enjoy that what you do has positive results, not only in your organization but also with customers and or the community. If you're working in government or you're working in healthcare and so forth. And then when you're in an organization that like, who cares, like nobody cares, that provides a very negative impact, right? That really brings a person's morale down, and they provide any type of satisfaction. The next one you'll have here, a much more better culture, number 4. They have, the brand culture. They're always celebrating what they're doing, and this is good because now if you see they have some pillars of support. They have a common language. They have some kind of methodology. They have a process in place. They have some systems in place. They have some tools. They have results, and also they have a purpose, right? They have a reason for existing, and that's what the Shingo models is all about as well. It's enterprise alignment, having a purpose of why are you doing it. Why do you even go for a Shingo prize? And that's the attitude that's required. You would need a level 4 type of culture to go after a Shingo prize so that you can be able to achieve it. Then number 5, well, number 5 is excellent. If you have the leadership that's enriched and that it's very supportive and unified, you're going to have a culture that is extremely united, where everybody's working with each other, and that everyone is also supporting the initiatives that they're working on. You have a leadership that's accessible, and you have people that are working together for a common reason. They really want to work together as a team, and they support each other. So five, of course, is the ultimate organization. I can say that I've been to several companies that are a five. One of them being OC Tana, who has won many awards for their culture and for their behaviors and their culture. And they've won the Shingo Prize, they won the AME Prize, and they have a lot of initiatives going on. They are one of the top organizations, I would say, in the U.S. when it comes to Shingo process and the Shingo model. So the Shingo model has several insights, right? And the first insight is ideal results require ideal behavior. So if you're looking for results, and many people focus on when they talk about results, the first thing that comes to their mind is my KPIs. You know, what are my key performance indicators? So many people put KPIs on things that have don't even have a definition, don't even have a baseline, don't even have a reason for existing. They just have a KPI saying that we need to improve 20% by the next quarter of, well, I don't know, let's just call it sales or inventory or whatever the KPIs they want to identify it as. But then they want that result, but then they don't have the behaviors and the systems in place that will help drive that result, that will help achieve that result. So like I mentioned here, the ideal results are the outcomes that are aligned, that are both excellent and sustainable, and that will demonstrate improvement over time. So it's not something that it's a short-term thing. It's not something that you just say, well, we pushed hard, we beat our employees as much as we could, we worked overtime, and we got them to finally adapt to the way we would do things here, and that's how we were able to make our improvements. Well, that's not sustainable, first of all, right? And if that's the strategy, that's going to create some bad behaviors. At the end of the day, people will not be happy, and people will just stop being productive. What's an ideal behavior? Well, an ideal behavior creates outcomes that can be produced, both excellent and sustainable. So, when you have ideal behaviors, these behaviors shape your culture. They're the ones that are influencers as well. That's where people will work harder together to achieve these results and become much more interactive and achievable. What's the insight number two? Well, the purpose and the systems drive the behaviors. So here this is an example of what the systems looks like. You have a management system. First of all, the systems are, no matter what organization you're in, systems are divided into three main components, right? You have your management system, you have your work system, and you have your improvement system. So what's your management system? Well, the management systems are the ones that are developed by the leaders that are saying that, this is how we're going to run the business. This is how we're going to manage the organization. Then you have the work system, and this is where the work gets done, where the work is being performed. And that's where employees actually do the work, and you have a system in place where you can see how work is being performed. You can manage that, you can monitor that, and you can adjust that, and you can improve that. But to improve that, then you have your improvement systems, right? Make an organization better by having continuous improvement processes in place. So the components, these three components, no matter what organization you're in or what business you're in, either it's in healthcare, services, manufacturing, you always have these three components that make up a system, okay? And your systems will be various systems just to run your business. But these three components are very, very important. And for me, the two main ones that are important that will contribute to culture is your management system and your work system. Why I say that? Well, first of all, management needs to be very involved when it comes to being on the Gemba. And we can't emphasize this more than anything else. I mean, we've heard about it in Lean, we've heard about it in Six Sigma, we hear about it in continuous improvement, and we still see that management lack of getting to the Gemba, going on the floor, speaking with the people, getting to know what's going on, and understanding the purpose of a Gemba. That is one of the key components and also key contributors that excellence is not achieved. Management is out of touch and out of sync with what's going on the floor. Now, You may have great improvement systems in place, great tools, great improvement process in place, but these two components right here, the management system and the work systems, which is where the work is being done, if these are not working, doesn't really matter what improvement systems you have in place. This whole model just falls apart, and that's not what we want. Now, within this uh, uh, the systems process, we have some requirements for communication. And one of them is, of course, having standard work, having reports. And these components are the ones that provide life to your systems, right? So you want to have standard work that keeps and controls your knowledge base, right? You want to keep that knowledge management up to date. You want to also have that knowledge management shared with others, and you also want it to be continually improved, right? So you're always up to date with others, and always having others understanding the cross-functional roles that the standard work works on. Reports are important. So you might have systems that provide reports, but communications report could be bulletin board, huddle boards, anything else that provides some kind of feedback and improvement logs that shows that we are making progress. So these tools work with, of course, the basic tools like your Lean and your Six Sigma, and these tools are part of your components, but they're not the only essential part. They're not the center of the universe. And I think I need to stress this more than anything else. Um, the tools of Lean and Six Sigma and all the other tools that are out there, they are essential. They are like the hammer, the saw, and the drills for a carpenter, right? Or even a mechanic, having his screwdriver and his wrench and so forth. These are the tools that make the job or make him effective in doing his job. But they're not the essential piece of it. They're not the only piece of it that makes it work. You need the other parts of it, especially the people part of it, to make it happen. So, what's the third insight? The third insight is that principles inform ideal behaviors. And now Shingo has 10 guiding principles. And when we look at the Shingo model, they're divided into three things, three sectors, people, process, and purposes. And within these three sectors here, you'll have the 10 Shingo principles. And we'll go over them right now. But what I like about this diamond, which is on the top of the whole Shingo model, which is right here in the center, is that it's like the top of the head of the whole or process itself, the whole philosophy itself of Shingo. Without these principles in place, no matter how good your systems are, no matter how effective your tools are, and no matter how your results are looking good, and your culture may be okay, but your guiding principles are the ones that sustain everything. Okay, they sustain and support your culture, and they sustain and support all of the other components together. So, interesting enough that the first uh, bottom part of the pyramid for the Shingo principles starts with cultural enablers. And when we talked in the beginning of the presentation, we mentioned about culture, and we mentioned that's the U part of the entire process. So, and it starts off with respect for an individual and leading with humility. And I think that is so key. Remember, we talked about in the beginning that leaders form the culture. So without having respect for others and lead with humility, then these things will not be able to will take place. The other components, the process and people, will not have the effectiveness if leadership does not have these core values in their culture and in their behaviors. The next one that we're working with now, we're talking about is continuous improvement. And when we talk about continuous improvement, right away, everyone's mind flows into Lean and Six Sigma. Well, these are tools, right? These are tools. And I always have to re-emphasize this part because remember, tools is a part of the component on a separate level. This continuous improvement portion is really talking about focusing on the process and using scientific thinking, seeking perfection, identifying quality at the source. So these are different type. This is a whole different philosophy of just saying, well, we could just do a 5S and fix that, or we could just do an 8 waste and we'll identify that. And that's not what we're talking about here. This is really is as a teams work together, they're identifying areas where they're going to identify quality at the source. They're going to capture quality at the source. They're not going to pass on defects anywhere else. And they're using scientific methods, and it could be using, of course, tools like Lean and Six Sigma and statistics to analyze and study and visualize where the problems are and what's going on. And when they talk about focus on a process, it's not only about process mapping or anything like that. It's really an understanding, the cross-functional process of it. Where does the process start and end, and who is it impacting? But for that, we need to understand first of all what is the value, what is the enterprise alignment. This is I think the most important part of it in when it comes to organizational excellence. It starts with leadership again and defining the vision. Okay, and the vision is not just saying we want to sell 100 million widgets by the end of 2020. That's not a vision. Okay, uh, enterprise alignment means that from the top of the organization all the way down to the bottom of the organization, everyone's aligned and understands their role with regards to the purpose of the organization. So you can stop anyone in the hallway and you could say, so you work here, what's your department? Oh, I work in inventory. So as a person who works in inventory, what is your role in contributing to the values of the purpose of the mission statement? And the person will say, I don't know, they just talk about that in meetings every quarter. That's the wrong answer, right? We want to say, well, my role is, my input is, my value is, and so forth. And this is how I contribute to the alignment of the organization. This is the value I bring to the table. And I also, by the way, work with production. I work with the frontline staff. I also work with other departments too. That our goals are also all aligned. So they're all creating value for the customer. There's a consistency of purpose within the entire organization and within the employees themselves. And they're thinking systemically, which means they're thinking cross-functionally, cross departments. There's no silo thinking here. It's not like this is us, that's them. They're not thinking that way. They're really cross-functional thinkers, and that's something that is learned because in many organizations, when they start off, it just falls into that silo mentality, and it defaults into that. So breaking out of that mold it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of change within the culture. So basically, in a quick half hour that we talk about the Shingo model. That's what the Shingo model is really based about. Of course, it's much more deeper than that. That's why we have the 6 different types of training modules that go deep, deep, deep inside the Shingo model, starting off with the Discover Excellence training and certification, which is the prerequisite before you take any of the other courses. And Discover Excellence is like this one. It's like an introduction, but of course much more deeper because you're going out on the Gemba. You're doing interviews. You're doing the tours. You're talking with people on the floor, and you're putting in practice what you learn, understanding the roles of leadership managers and frontline workers, and identifying the key behaviors and cultures that will shape the company into achieving, excellence. And then when you go to you're on the floor of the visiting the host company, which is what we're always looking for. We're always looking for new host companies, especially in healthcare, which is one of our key areas that we want to focus on. And you ask some basic questions. So tell me about your job. Tell me about your role. Tell me about how do you do your functions. How does your leader communicate with you? How do you maintain your excellence, your performance, and your key indicators sustainable? And then you go back as a team. You analyze this, and then you put in practice what you've learned. You'll see the Shingo model taking form within you. The Shingo model is very complicated in the beginning because we're trained differently, especially if we have a background in Lean or Six Sigma. Our mentality works thinking about the tools, and we're focusing on the tools, we're focusing on KPIs, we're focusing on reports. But then this, when we talk about Shingo, now we're talking about people. And we're talking about their emotions and their cultures and their behaviors and how that impacts business versus how the tools impact business. And then there's the new course, which was opened up in 2020, ending in 2019, beginning of 2020, which is the systems. And we talked a little bit about systems design. It's much more deeper than that. It's much more uh, uh, comprehensive. And once you go through that course, you'll really see the importance of systems within your organization. Cultural enablers is my favorite module. That's what we're talking about: cultures and behaviors and leadership, and how that shapes the heart and soul of the company. And then you have continuous improvement, which I like very much as well, because it's not about the tools again. It's about the behaviors that impact the continuous improvement process. And then the alignment and the build excellence is the cornerstone of the or the capstone of the entire Shingle process, because the build excellence tells you how to implement Shingle in your organization. So from scratch, how do I take all of this knowledge that I took from the other 5 modules, and I studied and I learned, I practiced, and I went through these courses, and they're pretty intense and they're pretty um, uh, a great learning experience. Now, how do I put that in practice in my organization? How do I make it work? Well, the Build Excellence course is the course that helps you put that into practice. Once completed all of these courses, you then qualify to become part of the Shingo Institute's alumni, which is a privilege. During the conferences, there's like a gala event, and you get recognized. You get the logo, and you get also some recognition for being have completed the entire Shingo process, Shingo training process. You get some discounts for the summits and the conferences, and your name gets also posted on the shingo.org website as a person who has completed all of the training, is now part of the alumni group. So to wrap it up, this is our schedule, and I'm wrapping it up now so that we could have a few minutes for some Q&A if anyone has any questions. And we have a scheduled 2 workshops, one in Colombia on October 27th, 28th. That one is going to be completely in Spanish, and we invite those who are on the call today that they can spread the word that we do workshops in Spanish, even though English, they probably understand English perfectly fine, but Spanish may be their native tongue and their first language, and nothing wrong with learning the exact same thing, but in a language that you're much more comfortable with. And this will be the first workshop in Colombia ever, so it's going to be very exciting. And as well as it's in a hospital environment that right now is combating COVID, and word just came out that the COVID crisis in Colombia has gone up. So this is going to be a very big challenge for us when we go over there to do this. At the same time, it's exciting in the sense that we're doing something no one else has ever done before. So we're excited about that. And then we have OC Tanner, like I mentioned before. OC Tanner is one of the top leading quality Shingo Award winners. And there we're going to have a continuous improvement workshop there November 11th and 12th. Our website is being revamped. We had heavy traffic going through there, and we have some engineers working on getting that fixed ASAP. But that doesn't mean you cannot contact us or register. You can email us directly or send us a text directly. We will contact you. We will register you. We will make sure you get to those workshops. And our website should be up in the next couple of days. We just had a lot of heavy traffic going down because we're doing a lot of advertising on the Shingle workshops and on types of webinars like this. And so a lot of people have been going on there, so we had to ramp up and beef up our capabilities. But now I'm leaving the floor open for anyone that may have a question. And to wrap it up, because we are just about an hour, we have about 5 or 6 minutes left. So if anyone has a question, please feel free to just either send me a chat question or raise your hand, and I'll be able to answer those questions. I will close out this. I'll leave it open here. So Does anyone have any questions they want or comments they would like to mention on the Shingo model that we discussed today?
Nothing from my side.
Well, I know that, thanks, Pedro. I know that the Shingo model is, especially for those who are on the call today, which many of you are my friends and work with me and other initiatives. This is not new to you, but it's interesting to sometimes hear what is it you heard from others, right? Perhaps you heard or read something on LinkedIn or read something on some other type of media and heard something about the Shingo model and the Shingo Award and the Shingo Prize, and it caught your attention. You said, "Well, that's the first time I heard that. That's interesting." So, just a question, just in general, uh, have you heard anything out there that's creating much more conversation around Shingo and the benefits of it or the value of it?
No, Shingo is not something that not as common as all the others. Because Shingo, people, when you hear Shingo, it's the Shingo Prize. It's a different level. It's not as accessible as all the other continuous improvement tools and organizational change, let's say. And it's not that popular. I think Shingo is not the Shingo method or the Shingo model is not as popular as the other ones.
That's an interesting comment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
that's an
people
interesting.
think it's not that easy. It's in a different level.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that, Pedro. That people don't understand it, and they see it's very complicated. They probably see it as a huge challenge. But at the same time, I'll give you an example. I've learned in the last few weeks, just by speaking with Cindy Young on knowledge management, and I had some very 101 education on knowledge management, but hearing her speak and learning more and more about us as our communications and relationship gets stronger, that it is much more deep conversation than just well, keep tabs on your knowledge management, and doesn't mean that we should not pursue it, right? That we should not. It's not a
Right.
simple task. It's not something that you just plug and play. I'll just install a software that captures all my knowledge. No, it doesn't really work that way either. What's your input on that, Cindy, on the knowledge management, when the reception that people get on that, people have on knowledge management when they first hear it?
Well, a lot of times people aren't aware of what knowledge management is. It takes a lot of explaining because they think I'm talking about a SharePoint portal rather than the human interaction. Because I try to look at knowledge management as a human practice, not as the best software to buy to coordinate or to facilitate information sharing. It's really about using it and being open to sharing what you know to make a better working environment.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. And sometimes people think knowledge management is, keeping tabs on your policies and procedures, right? The SOPs, right?
Yeah.
That's what they classify as their knowledge management. No, we have an SOP for that, and keeping it updated, and that's just like
It's just a tool for it.
tool, exactly.
Yep.
And like I said, I've been learning a lot more about it, speaking with you, and it makes so much sense. Succession planning, cross training, cross functional training,
Mhm.
other things, and I know it's a lot deeper than that as well. But still, people either you have in your experience, Cindy, what is their reaction when you provide them a much more deeper understanding of what knowledge management is? Do they jump on board right away, or are they kind of hesitant, or they're afraid? What is their reaction to that?
No, people don't jump on board with it. They have to learn more about it because first they think about, oh, that's another program we got to manage. That's going to cost money. And really, sometimes I just don't even call it knowledge management. I say, hey, did you communicate that with somebody? And a lot of times, if something changes, people see it as change management, don't think anything of it, but that really involves knowledge management. Because if you're going to change your process, you need to let other people know what's being changed, who it's affecting, and how it's going to be mitigated, and what risks are being mitigated as well.
Yeah, and you would think that that's part of daily business in any aspect anyway. You got to you
Yeah.
need you need that anyway. I think it's the fear of having it structured in a format that is now accountability is involved into it, right? Because now you're saying we want to have accountability of this knowledge management and make sure that we the apply it the right way versus dependent on some kind of tool or software. So again, I'm still learning more and more about it as you and I get to know each other better as well. But I'm fascinated by the fact that I associate that a lot with other things that I've learned as well from other aspects of change management because I'm also certified in pro side when it comes to change management. But of course, knowledge management again is a people-centered function, right? It's not a tool like
Right. It's got to be.
it's a people-centered.
You have businesses out there. Yeah, you have businesses out there that are trying to sell you knowledge management tool, but what you really need is you have to have people willing to share knowledge and transfer it and be able to create it and to, curate it basically and know what to do with it.
And then when it comes back, it comes back to leadership or the lack of or the need of leadership, right? Because they're the ones that create this whole process, make sure that leadership is involved. So
Yes.
That's all time for today. I think that Pedro had to leave. He's in Portugal. I know you're in London. So both of you are in both in Europe. How long more is your quarantine going to be go for? You got another week to go?
Yeah, until the 11th.
Okay.
A little over a week.
And then
so I get out that Sunday and then work until the 23rd and fly back on 24th.
So are you allowed to go out and get groceries or go to how do you do? You have to order it like
the hotel's been very accommodating.
Oh, okay. So you have to most likely eat in when through the hotel and or order food to come in, like I don't know, pizza, just to give an example.
Right, exactly.
Okay. So I don't know how the pizza is in London. I don't think I had pizza in London, but
I haven't had it either.
I think it's that good. I think they have other things that are better. So, well, thanks, Cindy, for joining the call. And I wanted to thank Pedro for being on the call and others that are maybe listening because we are transmitting live on YouTube. So, although they're not on the live chat, the live webinar, they are seeing our live webinar through YouTube. So, I want to thank everyone who is able to tune into this. And we are going to have our first Shingo model presentation in Spanish on Friday. For those who are in different parts of the world who want to also turn into it. It'll be the same presentation, but in Spanish. Try to get a bigger and wider audience. And then this campaign, we're doing it for this month until we go to Colombia in October. So for the next couple of weeks, we'll do this. We're trying to create more awareness. And of course, Cindy, you're always welcome. Since you're in quarantine, I guess it's a good time to take advantage of before you fly back. But you're more than welcome to come in and also add to our conversation because knowledge management piece of it is core to Shingo as well. When we talk about systems, we talk about tools, we talk about results. The knowledge management is tied into all of that, and I think that's something that I will incorporate in my presentations moving forward as I get to know more and more about it. And advocate for it as well, because it's not just about to change the culture and the behavior. You need to have this knowledge management based part of the culture, a part of leadership directive. So thanks everyone for joining, and thank you, Cindy. Keep safe, and hope to get back home soon. And see everyone on Friday for our first Spanish live transmission and see how that goes. We get some of the people from other parts of Latin America. That should be fun. Take care, everyone, and have a great day.